Today, we're talking about something huge for creators. It's about building a real digital home for your community, a place that you actually own. Seriously, think about it for a second. You've poured years into building an audience on the big platforms, right? But are you building on solid ground? Or is it more like borrowed land? Because when that algorithm suddenly changes or the rules shift overnight, who's really in control? It's this nagging frustration that, if you're a creator, you know all too well. And this right here, this is the core of the problem. On the big platforms, you're basically a renter. You're living by your landlord's rules. But when you own your own network, man, you call the shots. You set the rules, you own your data, and you get to build your digital home exactly the way you've always dreamed. The difference isn't just about control. It's about freedom, real freedom. Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about the rented space. Then we'll dive into what it means to have your own digital home. We'll show you how to get it done in just 30 seconds to launch, and then we'll cover what happens next when the real work begins. And finally, we'll look ahead and ask, is the future Web4? Let's jump in. All right, Section 1, the rented space. Let's dig into the limits of building on borrowed land. The sources use this fantastic German word, Mietverhältnis, which basically means a rental agreement. And that's exactly what it is. You're on these massive platforms building incredible value, but you're doing it on someone else's property. Your success is completely tied to their goals, their ad revenue, their crazy, always changing algorithms. You don't really own your audience, and you definitely don't own the data they're generating for you. So what if you could just move out of that rented apartment and build your own dream house? That's exactly the powerful alternative we're exploring now, the true power of ownership. And let me tell you, the advantages here are a total game changer. We're talking total control. You decide the rules, how you make money, and all the privacy settings. The data, it's yours. It becomes this priceless asset you can use for growth. You can finally create custom ways to monetize, think memberships, direct sales, whatever you want, without some giant platform taking a huge cut. This is about building a stronger brand and, finally designing the community you've always envisioned. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a massive, super complicated project, right? But what if I told you it wasn't? What if you could launch your very own network in less time than it takes to brew a cup of coffee? No, seriously. 30 seconds. That's it. That's the average time it takes to get your own social network up and running with Linkspreed's Web4 platform. Just like that, the dream of owning your digital space isn't some far-off fantasy. It's accessible to literally everyone. This is absolutely revolutionary. What Linkspreed offers is something they call social networks as a service. And the whole point is to empower you, the creator, to build a focused, super engaged community space for your brand or your niche. A space that's completely free from all the noise and the crazy high ad costs you see on traditional platforms. The real magic of the platform is just how simple it is. You get this whole universe of components that you can literally just drag and drop into your network. No coding required, at all. You want a marketplace to sell your stuff? Done. Community polls to get feedback? Easy. Events, training topics, rating systems, it's all there, ready for you to customize for your people. And this isn't just some little startup idea either. This is a thriving ecosystem that's already happening. We're talking over 150,000 communities already running on this Web4 infrastructure. And it's all supported by a network of over 25,000 decentralized nodes. The momentum here is absolutely real. And the philosophy behind it all is crystal clear. Just listen to what the lead developer, Maximilian, says. He calls it a simple solution without complexity. Easy to use and configure without programming. Web4 is made for everyone. The goal here is accessibility for all, not just for the tech gurus. Okay, so you did it. You launched your network in 30 seconds. That's amazing. But the technology is just the foundation, right? Now, the real art begins, turning that technology into a vibrant, thriving community. Because let's be honest, a house is not a home. You've built the structure, and you did it in record time. But it takes people, connection, and culture to make it a place where they actually want to hang out and stay. The tech, that was the easy part. The real work, it starts now. And this is where we need to totally redefine what community management even means. It's not just about reactively deleting spam or answering a few questions. No way. In your own network, you become a proactive architect. You are literally designing the entire social structure, you're fostering the culture, you're building the experience from the ground up. And that whole process can really be broken down into 3 key phases. First up, strategic planning. This is where you define your why, your mission, your values, and set the ground rules. Then comes the community building phase. You're creating that initial spark with seed content and welcoming new members. And finally, there's nurturing and scaling, where you empower your top members and use your own data to grow smart. And here are some super practical tips to really make it happen. Be authentic, be human, don't be a corporate robot. Remember, the real goal is member-to-member interaction, so create ways for them to connect with each other. Clear rules make for a safe space, so establish and enforce them. And always listen to feedback and respond quickly. That's how you build trust and show people you genuinely care. Okay, so this whole idea of owning your network, it actually goes way beyond just a single business strategy. It's part of a much, much bigger vision for the internet's next evolution. And that vision is called Web4. At its core, it's an internet built on decentralized, community-focused networks. The main idea is to move away from these massive, centralized monopolies and instead empower users, like you, to become co-creators of your own digital spaces. It's all about privacy, democracy, and community control. Of course, with any new vision, people are going to have questions. There was a great point raised in the DEV community by one developer who asked, Web 1 was a technology, Web 2 was a paradigm, Web 3 was snake oil, so what is Web 4, a product? And that's a totally valid question that kind of highlights the ongoing conversation about where the internet is really heading. But that aspirational goal, it remains incredibly powerful and clear. It's all about giving control back to the people who are actually creating the value, the creators, and their communities. It's about building a more collaborative, a more transparent internet, one small, independent network at a time. And that leaves us with this final, fascinating question to chew on. Could a future built on thousands of small, vibrant, interconnected communities, could that really be the answer to the dominance of just a few giant monopolies? The tools are here, the movement is growing. The rest, well, that's up to us to build.